Alright. Hey, so I got me another guest. Some of y'all know, some of y'all don't. This my brother. This my real brother. This like my brother from my dad's first marriage. So this is King Beezy. King Beezy, thank you for coming on to my show. I appreciate the love, my man. Okay. For sure. So today, my topic is gonna basically be like what it's like having kids. Like you locked up, you in prison, but it's like, how could you raise a kid while you in prison? So I just got a list of questions and we just gonna roll through it. We just gonna shoot. Last time I shot from the hip. We ain't doing from the hip this time. I'm shooting from the questions I got on my sheet. So that's what we gonna do. So King Beezy, my first question is supporting your kids while you in prison. Like, you know, how could you support your kids while you're in prison? Like, what did you do based on your experience?
Well, mentally, first of all, you really just have, you can only really give them advice mentally. You know what I'm saying? Teach them, right from wrong. It's hard to give them, it's actually hard. You can't raise a child from behind them bars. You can just give them advice. You know what I'm saying? Hope that they take your advice.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Send them money.
Yeah, I get it. So, like, as far as, did you write letters to your kids, or did they write letters to you?
I would write letters to my kids. Kids are kids. So, my kids were young when I went to.
How old were your kids when you went?
They were like 18 months, 2 years old.
Okay.
When I came home, they were teenagers. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cause I guess when I say like writing letters, I'm thinking like you could probably write a letter, but if they were that young, I mean, I'm thinking could their mom have to read it to them, or could they write back?
Their mom would read the certain letters until I would get little scrabble stuff. What little kids write.
Yeah. I guess that would make sense because if they playing and going to daycare and different things like that,
right?
They draw different things and then they put it on there and send it to you. Like, well, this is all they can do. They really can't write that much.
But believe it or not, it was a thought that counts. So we really appreciate that too. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it makes sense. So like, I guess I know in prison I never been or nothing like that, but it's like as far as phones and stuff like that, I remember sometimes when you were staying with us, I think when Dad used to call you on the phone, or no, it wasn't you because you called us, and then it was a collect call, and now, you know what? I never told you this story. So sometimes you would call, and he would be like, "Hey, Christopher, don't pick up the phone because it's a collect call. Because back then you had to pay for the collect call."
Yeah, he actually did, right?
So he used to tell me not to pick up,
right?
But so he used to call, but then he would pick up, and then if he was at home, he would talk to me and stuff like that. So did you spend like a lot of times on like the phone calls and stuff like that, talking to your kids?
In the county, that was in the county when I was in the county. But yeah, I guess not really. I actually saw my kids a lot at visit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I would get a visit every weekend. Like every weekend, I would actually see my kids like that. I saw my daughter more than I saw my son, but it worked out. So actually, I watched them grow up, down there. And when you come home, you just get in where you fit in,
Yeah, because I was thinking a lot of times, I think from what I remember, I think your mom brought the kids, right?
Yeah. So she would come a lot of times. She would come every weekend. And unless I had somebody else come visit me. So she would bring my kids down there, and I would, you hold your kids, you watch your kids. I actually watch them really grow up, like from, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like you really watch them grow up.
Yeah, because I guess my big question, once you see that, how does it make you feel as a man being like, you have your kids and stuff like that, but like you can't really see them maybe at baseball games and football games and stuff like that, but they still come and see you. I guess my perspective is, that's one question I try to ask people is like, how does that affect you as a man because you can't see your kids like all the time?
Well, it affects you a lot, but the thing that you have no control over, you just pray about it and you keep moving on. But it affects you because you can't be there to protect them, be there protector if something happens to them, or you can't be there physically to teach them how to shoot basketball, hold a baseball, or kick a soccer ball, or anything. Take them places, and, things that you would do with your kids. So it affects you, and believe it or not, it affects them too. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, because when you come home, I guess, what would you say? And I think that's just a male thing. I think that's the way God made us. It's like we're supposed to be protectors of our children and stuff like that. Right. But it's like, how can I protect my kids if I'm way over here and then they over there?
You can't.
So it's like there's nothing you can
You
really
have to make
do.
a phone call.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you got to make them calls and stuff get taken care of, but
Right.
it's like, hey,
Right.
that sometimes
You
it
know
is
what I'm
what it is.
saying?
But you got to take care of your kids. I
You have
mean,
to take care of them.
and that's the thing. You always want to make sure that your kids are protected. So I think as men, we're also supposed to always provide financially and then as protectors too.
Right. So,
and I think that's just important. This is something that we always just want to hit on and stuff like that.
As being a man, that's how you feel anyway. Like, as being a man just of your household, but definitely being a father, you want to be their protector. You're protect them financially. You want to be there for them, physically, mentally, spiritually. You know, you want to be there for them.
Yeah.
And so, when you take away that time that you did, it affects. You know, it affects everybody. You know, I feel like it affects the kids. It affects you, and you know, the only thing you can do with it is deal with it. But it makes you stronger mentally. But you don't know the effect that it has on those kids. Is not having a father figure, or if they get picked on at school. You know, it's different now because my small little girl, like I'm there. I'm at every, you know, I'm every event.
Right.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there. You know, so.
And I think that's important. I think that's one of the things I realized, like when I had kids, it was like, you know, I might not be with their mom, but I mean, hey, I see my kids as much as I can.
Right, and that's what it is. As long as you have that bond, like, you know, I had different bonds with my kids. It's different. Like, you know, me and my son, we have my oldest son, we have a great bond. Like, it didn't affect him as much as it did my oldest daughter, me being gone. It affected her more because certain, you know, different things probably happened while I was gone. But like my smallest little girl, that's my, you know, and we have our bond. Me and my smallest little girl, this is our bond. That's my.
And I think I could see that because it's like, and that's one of the things, I mean, we didn't even get into that. We didn't tell y'all. So like, How many kids do you have? And like, do you want to jump into details about like their moms? Okay, so we might do that at a different time.
You know,
but how many kids you got? That's what I was trying to ask you. I was like, do you want to do a part two?
Man, we're going part two.
All right, cool. So this is what we gonna do. We got, so tell them how many kids you got, and then you can go from there. You don't have to get into how many baby mamas you got if you don't want to get into.
I actually had 4 kids. you know King Beasley, you know King Beasley, sure. But I had 4 kids, 2 girls and 2 boys.
Okay, because you were locked up what? So 13 years, right?
I did 13 and a half.
So then when your kids, how old were your kids when you left?
They were like 18 months, and I came home, they were 13.
Okay, because
I came home right before they turned 14. Right before, I'm talking about literally right before they turned 14. I came home right before my son, I came home 5 days before he turned 14.
Oh, so you got at least 4 years
weeks,
before they hit 18.
And really 5 weeks before my daughter turned 14. So, you know, I got right in the mix.
So you had 2 kids when you was locked up already, and then you had more kids like after you got out?
When I came home, I did the same thing.
You was like, I'm gonna go ahead and have me some more kids.
I had some more kids. I had to actually
expand the family.
No, I had to experience it because they took it away from me.
Yeah. They
took that experience away, so I had to come home and experience. And I'm actually glad because at the time I was a child having kids. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't. The way I was living my life at the time, I felt like just giving money was the thing. Because when you in the streets, you dedicated everything is to the streets. So you feel like dropping off money, you doing your part. But I was saying to the kids, they just want the time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And I guess so when you were out, because 18 months, I do remember at some point, because you used to watch your kids. I think it was like a PlayStation. You said it's like borrowing a PlayStation or something like that.
Right.
I remember Dad told me that one time.
Right.
And you told him something, he was like, yeah, it's like, when I got kids, it's like borrowing a PlayStation. So I was like, what?
Right.
But then I said, I see what he meant, because it's like, I got my kids, but it's like, hey, can you drop off my daughter or my son? You know what I'm saying?
Right. At the time, it was like kids having kids. So their mother was young, I was young. And so, we were just, And I can say, like, my oldest son, he's 22. Right. And man, I'm so proud of his mother because, man, my oldest son turned out to be like the total opposite of who I was once when I was young. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm probably trying to be a nice young man. My little girl too. My oldest little girl. My oldest little girl has so many of my bad ways, but that's my baby too. I love her to death too. I love all my kids. You know what I'm saying? I just have different bonds with them. You know what I'm saying? like my oldest son, if I was to go straight and narrow, that's who, boom, that's who I would have been the way he acts right now. My little girl, like she has so many of my bad traits, but it's still like she's still she's still a good person and all that. That she had like my anger, my old anger and all that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Who I once was, who I
yeah.
used to be. But like I said, I believe in all of them. They turn out to be good kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, hey, I
It's just
understand.
now with my smallest one, I'm more hands on, and it's more. It makes me more of a father. You know what I'm saying? When you're there, I can actually be there. So I actually learned from my older kids on really how to be a father to my younger kids. Because really, when you're in prison, I'm always down there raising somebody else's kids. You know what I'm saying?
That does make, yeah, it makes
And that's
sense,
the
I
crazy
guess,
part. I
cause
was
like,
raising kids down there. I was raising somebody else's kids. When they got in
yeah,
trouble, we had to spank them. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And that's really what happened.
yeah, cause I think a lot of times, even when you have the inmates in prison, a lot of times this is based on statistics and data. From what I've read, a lot of them come from like single mom homes.
Right.
And that's so crazy. I never knew that until like when I got older, and then I read about it, and I was like, they don't even know who their father is.
And it's true. And you know what? And I can believe that because I was down there with a lot of dudes. It's a lot of men in prison, so it's a lot of children out here with no fathers because their father actually down there. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of kids getting raised up, and that's why society is kind of like it is right now.
Yeah, there's some statistics and data on that too, where it's like in the black family, I think it was before maybe like the 1960s or something, it was like 70-something% of black men were in the home. And then when they started like a lot of these government programs and stuff, what happened was it was basically kind of like the white guy or the government, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you believe.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it or believe in. They basically was like, we're going to sell you this dream. You take these benefits and all that, and we can take the man out the house. And then it just kind of, I think it completely did the number on the black community.
Yes, I believe it did. But some of it's about choices that you make in life too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame it all on the government or the white man. It's about making those choices too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you make those wrong choices, you have to deal with those choices. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I made a bunch of wrong choices, but then the time that I had to take something to the chin. The time that when it wasn't me, it became me because of all the bad choices that I had made before then. So you gotta take it to the chin.
Yeah, I
keep
understand.
on moving. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. I guess did you see, for instance, like for you? So I know because you already know. I was with dad most of the time because after your parents got divorced and then he married my mom.
Right.
So like, how did you, as a man, because obviously like you like a manly man, you ain't not like a weak guy. So the thing is, like when I view you, I'm like, okay, King Beezy is like a man. So how is it that you were able to become a man, but you had your dad, maybe you seen him every once in a while? How were you able to remain that masculine frame?
Basically, because dad was like a weekend dad with me, so and I was cool with that. It's more of my mother made me tough. You know what I'm saying? Like from being young, she always told me, "Hey, somebody hit you, you hit them back." And I remember one time somebody took my jump rope. She watched him the whole time. I didn't know this. I was like, it was a Mickey Mouse jump rope.
I never heard this story.
True story. It was a Mickey Mouse jump rope. I got it from Disney World. So it was like 1986, and so she was looking out the window. I didn't know that. So I came in. The dude was like 9 years old. I was probably like 6. He said, "Where the jump rope?" I said, "I'll let him borrow." She said, "I got the jump rope for you. Go get that jump rope." Whole time she watched me. I don't know this. I go outside, try to get the jump rope. Can't. We wrestling or whatever. Young. He pushed me down. I can't get the jump rope. Go back in. She said, "Where's that jump rope?" I said, "Well, look." She said, "I told you I bought that jump rope for you. Don't come back in this house without the jump rope." I went outside. Hey, we wrestled. I beat him hard. Let the jump rope go. I ran in the house, and she told me to get some ice cream. So I think that was her beginning point of, trying to make me be a man, make me be tough. You know what I'm saying? So, because a woman don't really know how to raise a man. Take it to a certain point. They can only tell you so much. So the rest I learned from them boys on the corner. You know what I'm saying? On girls, women, gangs, fighting, whatever. I always knew how to fight. So
Yeah, I think that's just something I think you learn, I guess, from being in the streets. One thing I've heard, if you're in like different gangs and stuff like that, a lot of times what happens is that it's more of like a community in men. And like, I mean, sometimes you mean people have Bible studies and stuff. I'm not saying y'all got Bible studies, but it's like a community where y'all
believe
spend
it or
time
not, it's
together.
more, and really believe it or not, and that's what it's really like. It's a brotherhood. It becomes that. You know what I'm saying? It becomes. You gotta understand it's bigger than that. You know, and the bond that you have is like. It's so different because you treat this. He's like this, like there's somebody you can count on. You know what I'm saying? There's somebody that's gonna watch your back. You watch his back. Definitely in prison, it's a whole different. It's totally different. You know what I'm saying? You trust this person to watch your back, and that's why the bond is so. You know what I'm saying? Eat together. You know what I'm saying? What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. And that's how we rocked up.
And I think that probably could come from. If a guy doesn't have a father inside the house, maybe he just has his mom, maybe don't have a lot of family. So it's like if you're in prison or you're on the streets and stuff like that, you have a community because people are there for you and they're around you. So.
And you know that could be true. That could be true because a lot of dudes that I know that went that way. When I go back and think about it, a lot of them really came from single parent homes. You know what I'm saying? When I think about it, a lot of dudes that went to the streets compared to the dudes that had fathers and mother in the household, they went. You know, to college and they went straight narrow, you know what I'm saying? So that, you know what, I find that to be true, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's just a lot of the times, I think that's what we have.
But you still have choices now, you know, you can't use that as a scapegoat. You still have choices, you still have a choice too, because, you know, it's people that have actually made it and didn't go to prison and didn't take their wrong route, just growing up with their mother or just growing up with their father. So you still have choices. I think it's more easier to get to detour having a mother. You know what I'm saying? As far as just staying with your mother than staying with your father and your mother. So I really don't know, but I just grew up with my mother. So
yeah, that makes sense.
You never know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I think I've seen kind of a mixture, but exactly what you're saying. A lot of times that it is a choice because I've seen people where they have 2-parent households. I mean, that people still doing drugs and all kind of crazy stuff.
Man,
I seen that.
Man, I mean, to be honest with you, like I said, the people that I actually met when I was going to Cypress Creek, I actually met like 5 of them down there when I was locked up, and they all had life sentences, and they come from mom, dad, good, you know, and that's when I was just going to the time on Cypress Creek, and I was saying, I'm like, what are you doing down there?
Yeah, I think you did tell me that one time. I heard about a story. He's like some of the same guys that you knew from high school was like, how did he get here? Because
it shocked me. I'm like,
there was. I remember there was this kid that I knew. It was a white guy. We had class together, and then like one day, I didn't know he did like any type of drugs or something. I don't know what type of drugs he did, but it was apparently it was something hard.
They do hardcore. They did hardcore drugs out there.
And I kind of knew because I heard they be doing. I don't remember specifically what the drugs are, but it was like some crazy stuff. But the dude had ended up dying. He like died from the drugs. And I was like,
they do hardcore drugs. You know, it's different. You know, like when I was going to school at my mom's house, you know, black people do they certain little drugs, and then when I went to school out there at my dad's house, they do hardcore drugs. Like we didn't do those because that was like she was trying to keep me away from, you know, I guess to say the streets or whatever, and send me to school out here. But and you opened up my eyes to a whole nother, like what the hell? You know, I would see kids. Black fingernails, black hair, black boots, and they come to school. You're like, what the hell are they on?
You on some crazy
stuff. Tell me, like, oh, he's on Special K. I said, what is Special K? He said, that's Big Cat Tranquilizer. I say, what?
Yeah.
But I didn't have that when I was going to school where I'm from, you know, on the southwest side.
Yeah, because I've seen that actually happen. It was one guy I knew. He overdosed and died from drugs. There's another girl I knew. She overdosed and died. I mean, I know the girl. She came from like a single dad. It was just a dad there. I don't know what happened to the mom, but I know the living situation wasn't good. But I know the guy that died, I mean, he had like 2 sisters. He had both parents. They were married. And from what I saw, they was good. Right. So I never could figure out. I was like, why would this guy be doing these drugs and stuff like that? Like, you got every single thing you could ever dream of and imagine.
That's what I was saying. The choices.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He could either been a follower or something was going on in his childhood that made him want to, you know, you gotta say sometimes kids they experiment, and then, you know, being like that way, you experiment with some hardcore drugs, you know what I'm saying, and they trip out and you can't handle it.
Yeah,
and I thought about fentanyl alone.
Yeah, that's one of the big things. They keep talking about that fentanyl be killing people. I think it was Boosie was talking about. He was like, look, man, y'all need to go back to. I'm not promoting this, but he said y'all need to go back to crack cocaine because he said that fentanyl stuff be on some other stuff. He said a crackhead could cut your grass. Now crackheads can't cut your grass on no fentanyl.
No, leave the fentanyl alone. Say no to drugs.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when I heard that, I said, yeah, he's right. They would do some crazy stuff, be acting crazy. Not like fentanyl.
Man, you know, I don't really know too much about it. I just heard about it, but from what I heard, I don't want no parts of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, it's understandable. And I guess my thing too is like, when you had your kids and stuff like that, did the mothers ever come and see you? If you had multiple mothers with your kids,
You know what? They actually didn't come to see me, and that's why when I came home, they were trying to talk to me. I was like, really cut it out. Nice try, wrong guy. You know.
So why after that do you have like a good relationship with them now, or is it just business as usual?
I actually have a good relationship with. Yeah, I have a good relationship with one of them. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
I don't really keep up with them or whatever. My kids, you gotta understand, I have 2 grown kids, so
Yeah, I think
once the kids get grown, I don't really have to talk to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I mean, well, yeah, hey, I can learn from that because I was already thinking. I mean, I got 2 kids, and I basically told them, man, this is business now. Because you know the whole child support and stuff like that. I said, if we're gonna do the child support game and all that
business.
stuff.
Like once you have the kids, you know, once the kids get grown, you don't have to talk to them unless you have relationship friends.
Yeah.
You know, I'm friends with them, you know. But like I said, no, they weren't down with me when I was down. And then my lowest point, you know what I'm saying, they locked up. But to be honest with you, at my lowest I was doing better than a lot of people that were out here. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole different topic and a whole different. But you know, I'll give you that story too if you want. I got a bunch of followers on the other one to hear that story.
That's what I was thinking. We could still.
Topic, though. I'll give you something special for that one.
Yeah, we could do something like that too, because we still. Cause
your followers are gonna blow up off of that. No,
we could.
I've turned down be honest, I've turned down like 3 interviews for real.
Yeah, because my whole big thing is built on fathers, but I can still throw other stuff in there.
I'm gonna give you something special. You my bro, you my little bro. I gotta give you something special. I'm gonna say you special just for that. They won't want to. Hey, he did this interview, but he wouldn't. I turned down and I want to tell the interviews that I turned down, but
and I'm
not gonna tell them who I turned down, but I turned them down.
And just with that right there, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna end on that note because we might drop a gym on y'all next time.
Oh no,
so hey,
we're gonna put it in your face.
Stay tuned for the next one. All right, peace. We'll see y'all later. Thanks for joining. Thanks for looking at it. Remember, hit the like, subscribe, share. The whole goal of this whole thing is to help fathers. That's all it is. I don't care religion, background, and all that. I'm gonna have a lot of people on. That's just how it is.
Man, I'm proud of my brother, man, for real.
So thank you. I appreciate it. King Beezy. For real. So that's what we're doing, and we'll be back next time.